Does your strategy help you make decisions about what not to do? If it doesn't, is it even really a strategy? A good strategy will help you focus your resources, energies, and time into the areas which are going to help you move the fastest towards your organisational goals. Hi, I'm Katherine at Live from the Third Lane, the channel for charity and non-profit leaders. Today we're going to be talking about how to create a single-minded strategy that will help you get the absolute most out of your limited resources. You might or might not have a strategy at the moment. Strategy can seem a bit big and scary and a bit difficult, but actually if you think about it more as your general approach to how you're going to achieve your goals, it's easier to think about. Strategy can often be confused with tactics, and tactics are the actual activities you're going to do to deliver your strategy. To illustrate this, let me talk to you a little bit about two different charity shops with very different strategies. So the first, their goal is to make the absolute most amount of money possible for their charity. So their strategy is to sell high-end clothing second-hand for as much money as they can. The tactics that they then use might include things like being very selective about the types of donations that they're prepared to accept so that the quality of the clothing stays really good. They might also spend time and effort on building relationships with clothing manufacturers so that they get good quality overstock items that they can then add to their store. They might also spend a lot of time and effort on creating an environment in their store which is more boutique-like and less about trying to cram as much in as possible. And finally, maybe their training focuses more on fashion and brands for their staff and their volunteers so that actually they're able to help their clients to find things that are a really great match for them. The second charity shop has a very different goal. So theirs is much more around they want to be able to provide low-cost clothing to people on low incomes who are struggling with clothing poverty. So their strategy is to provide as much stock as possible in as wide a range of sizes and keep prices as low as possible. So the tactics that they might then use to deliver that strategy might be to accept as many donations as possible, to focus on lower end items. So thinking more of your kind of fast fashion, being really comfortable with that because it means that they can sell them at really low prices. They might also be really focused on trying to get as much stock out as possible so that people have a really wide selection of sizes and styles to try and meet their needs. And finally, the training of their staff might actually go more in the direction of understanding other services provided locally which can help people who are on low incomes so that they can act as a signpost to help people to find the help that they need. As you can see, both charity shops, whilst in theory doing the same thing, we're approaching it in a very different way because they've got different goals and they've got different strategies. But those strategies help them both to make really good decisions that will help them to achieve them. Without that clarity of the strategy, you might find the shops are a bit of a mishmash of both, and actually they're not really clear on who that their target audience is and actually what they're trying to achieve. One of the traps that organisations can fall into when trying to design their strategy is to start listing everything that the organisation does. And it's really important to remember that a strategy is not a to-do list. So there are going to be items on your to-do list which you absolutely have to do. So that's things like managing your finances well and creating a safe environment for the people that work with you. But those aren't part of your strategy. Your strategy is about the choices that you're going to make to achieve your goal, not about listing out all the non-negotiables that any well-run organisation needs to be doing. This can be challenging because people can be concerned that if their thing doesn't appear on the strategy, that it's not important. But actually, a lot of the things that don't appear on the strategy are absolutely essential. And the things that do appear on the strategy are much more around the things where there is a choice about whether you do it or you don't do it, or which activities you might choose to do. So to start developing your strategy, it's really important to identify your North Star goal. This is the single-minded goal that you're going after above and beyond everything else. Having one single goal is really helpful in focusing everyone behind that and enabling them to make some really good decisions. Where you've got more than one goal, even just having two goals means that there are going to be times when you're going to have conflict between those and have to make some decisions. And if they're of equal priority, that makes it really, really challenging for the people in your teams to be able to make those decisions and to be able to do the right thing to move forward towards your goals. Let's think about some of the conflicts that might arise if you have more than one North Star goal. So if you've got a finite amount of money, where are you going to spend it? Are you going to spend it on activities that progress goal 1? Or are you going to spend it on activities that progress goal 2? At some point, you're going to have to make those kinds of decisions. You will also need to decide what you're going to do when there's a conflict between what's good for goal 1 and good for goal 2. So sometimes activities might be the best thing that you could do to progress goal 1, but they're going to have a detrimental impact on progressing towards goal 2. So what do you do? What's more important? The clearer you can be on having one single-minded goal and one North Star goal, the better it is for your teams to be able to have that clarity, to be able to decide what they're going to do and to be able to follow through effectively. So once you've identified your North Star goal, the next thing is to develop your strategy. So your strategy is your general approach to how you're going to deliver that goal. And it's really a way of thinking about what do we think is the best thing that we could do to move us as fast and as far as possible towards this goal in the next period. And it's always worth having a time period that you're thinking of with your strategy so that you can be really mindful of, if we do this kind of thing, is it going to move us forward fast enough to achieve what we're looking to achieve? So there's no point in coming up with a strategy that might take 10 years to deliver, even if it will over 10 years deliver the most, if actually you need to be able to evidence to funders, for example, progress within 1 year time frame. So really think about what that time frame would be for developing your strategy. So this guiding strategy isn't a list of all of the activities you're going to do, it's just the approach that you're going to take at a high level during that strategy period. What I would say is you really need to fight the urge to and. And what I mean by this is, if your strategy includes the word and, are you trying to slightly add in a bit more breadth to it to make it less single-minded? Now, it can be really difficult to resist the urge to add those ands, but I'd be really wary of it if you see an and appearing in your strategy. Once you've developed your strategy, then it's time to get into the fun of planning and tactics. So that's when you start to plan out what the actual activities are that you're going to do to progress towards your goal in line with your strategy. So this is a great opportunity to get all of the ideas out there, because actually now you've got a strategy, you've got something that you can measure them up against to see if they line up with that. And if they do, then those are the kind of activities that you want to have on your plan. Having a single-minded strategy focused on your one North Star goal is the most effective way to make sure that your limited resources are all going to be moving you as fast as possible towards your objective. I really hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you have, please do like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any future content. I'd also really love to know what you think, so please add any of your questions or comments in the comments section below. I hope you have a really fantastic week and keep on changing the world.